Since college is about to start for a lot of people, I thought it was about time that I give another video talking about everything that I've kind of learned throughout my first year of college and any advice to people who are about to go into their freshman year, or maybe even if you're just like a high school senior looking into what college might be like since you might be applying right now. And of course, college is not everyone's path. I'm very aware of this. This is just a video for those who are thinking college is probably what they want to pursue. Now, of course, disclaimer, I am just one person. I have only gone through my own experiences in college. I'm not a professional in any of this, and take all of my advice with a grain of salt because I have not lived through every experience. And also, I've only been to college for 1 year. There's probably some things that I haven't learned yet, and so maybe next year I'll make another video and there will be some things that will be different. So just little disclaimer. Okay, so I want to cover many different areas. I want to cover academics, social life, activities, the whole entire thing, because I think that there's advice to be given in every single kind of section. So let's just get straight into it, shall we? Okay, so the first topic I want to talk about is academics. And the most important thing that if you're going to take anything out of this video, please take this, is that you do not have to have your major figured out when you first get to college. I promise. I know that Common App and all college applications kind of make it seem as if you need to know. Trust me, you don't. Those first 2 years of college are meant to be you taking prereqs, taking different classes, taking different areas of study so that you can kind of figure out what you want to do. Of course, it's kind of good to come in with some kind of idea what you want to do, because usually when you choose a college, it's based off of whether or not they have a program that you might like, but you don't have to have your major figured out. And trust me, you will probably change it. Most people change their major, and that's okay as well. It's okay to flip-flop your major around. It's okay to do it and then choose another one and then realize you want to go back to that one. It all happens. Trust me, a lot of people change their majors. Very few people stick with exactly what they came into college doing. So do not feel the pressure to have it all figured out before you even stepped foot on your campus. Plan your classes accordingly. If you know that you are not a morning person, I would probably not schedule 8 a.m. classes because you're just simply not going to be able to make it to them. Unless you know that you can for sure make it and that your alarms will actually wake you up, then do it. But I wouldn't risk it. There's also the thing of don't try to get classes that are like at 5 p.m. because you might think when you're first scheduling your classes that it'll be okay and that, yeah, like it's in the afternoon. But then you'll actually go to that class and you'll realize that you're kind of in class while everyone else is out doing stuff or eating dinner, and you kind of don't want to miss out on it. So understand yourself. If you're a morning person, if you're a night person, all that kind of stuff, plan your schedule accordingly, because trust me, it will definitely affect whether or not you actually go to class. My third tip, go to class. This builds right off of the tip that I just gave, because going to class is where you will be learning the majority of what you're doing. Of course, there is a lot of work that sometimes happens outside, but you want to build that connection with your professor and also get to know the people who are also studying the things that are similar to you. You'd be surprised at how many friends you can usually make by the person that you sit next to in a lecture or the person that's in your quiz section. Colleges usually have a lot of academic resources that you can use. I know for me, I had a lot of resources available, such as like tutoring, people who can help like read your essays and help you edit them. There's always so much stuff, and I promise that like your college definitely has a lot of it. So I would definitely look into those resources because they can really come in handy if you do need a little extra help in a subject, or you need to help study for a test or figure out what you even need to study. It's definitely worth at least knowing what resources that you have on hand. Kind of touching back on the scheduling your classes, Rate My Professor is actually a very useful resource that will come in handy. Of course, as I always do, a little disclaimer, Rate My Professor, all the ratings on there will not always be 100% accurate. Some people will write nasty, angry reviews about an amazing professor because they personally didn't get a good grade, and it's because they actually did not apply themselves correctly. Be aware of that. But most people are gonna give good feedback on Rate My Professor because they don't want other people to maybe make the same mistake, or if they really liked a professor, they will talk about them highly. So definitely make sure that you know what the professor is about before you really go into the class. Like, you can learn a lot of things about like what the professor looks for, how much they grade, how many assignments they give. People will talk about that on Rate My Professor, so it's a very useful resource. And let's say you wake up late for class and you aren't going to make it on time. I would suggest still going to class even if you're going to be late, because that shows, first of all, a lot more interest of yours to actually be in class and will prove something to professor or TA because you actually made the effort to show up even if you were going to be late. Because just completely skipping it, you'll miss all that stuff that they go over in that class, and it's worth it. Trust me. It's better to be late than to not show up at all. The last thing that I'll kind of say, just to like close up this academic kind of section, is that college is in and of itself a privilege to be attending. It's a privilege to be able to get an education. And so definitely don't kind of just push it off. I know that college is a lot more than just the academics, but you are ultimately there to kind of get an education and to learn. And so make sure that you're really like focusing on that as well. And I'm not saying like don't have a social life, definitely have a social life, but it's good to have a balance. It's good to make sure that you are still focusing on school and not just partying versus the other way around. Trust me, there will be some people that will definitely have different priorities than going just for the academics and will be more about the social life, and there will be other people who fully academic, no social life. It's really good to have a balance, and just remember that college is there, you're paying for it, you're paying to take the classes, you might as well show up to them, you might as well do the work, you might as well get as much out of it as you possibly can. So it is a privilege, it is a really great privilege to be able to have such an education and attend these really good universities, so just don't squander that opportunity. Let's start talking about social life. So social life, there are a lot of different things that this is a lot coming from my own personal experience with the friends that I've met, the people I've talked to, the clubs I've joined, all that kind of stuff. My number one is that you will meet a lot of people, specifically in your first week, especially if you have like the freshman week where there's about a bunch of different activities. I know for my school, they had a bunch of big like movie night and this carnival. So I would definitely recommend going to those, but just be aware that a lot of the people that you hang out around in your first week may not end up being your best friends, and that's okay. It's a very well-known story or like thing that always happens in college, is that the people that you hang out with the first week, you probably aren't going to be your actual friend group. And that was the case for me. I did hang out with some people and they were nice, but we just ended up not clicking exactly how I wanted to, and I ended up finding friends in kind of like in different places, and that's completely okay. And it's good to kind of go in knowing that. You also really want to put yourself out there, but in ways that you are comfortable. I would never say to force yourself to talk to as many people as you possibly can, especially if you're someone who maybe is a little bit more introverted and doesn't do as well in social settings. I myself am not the most outgoing person when it comes to talking to people. I can't hold a conversation that well. I am not the most social, but I definitely would recommend trying to talk to people, especially if you think that you guys might click or you guys might have something in common. It's definitely worthwhile because you will be surprised where you will find some of your best friends. And that kind of leads into activities. Go to clubs, find clubs that you're really interested in. Usually there's a club fair towards the beginning of the year, and I would highly recommend going around and just looking at tables, even ones that you might not initially think you're interested in. They might sell it to you really well, and you might think, oh my god, wait, I actually really want to join this club. Join clubs that maybe don't align perfectly with what you've always focused on. It's sometimes cool to join a club that maybe has nothing to do with what you're pursuing academically, because it gives you that kind of balance. This next one is kind of just a little bit of, not necessarily a warning, but just something to be aware of, is that there will be some people that you might befriend and maybe get really close to that will end up showing their true colors over time, and you'll realize that maybe you don't actually want to be friends with them. I had a situation like this girl I was pretty close to ended up kind of this whole big friend group blow up, and just a lot of drama went down, and it does happen. The thing with people, and I don't know if this is like scientifically backed up, but it's something I've noticed, is that within about 3 months, people will kind of show you who they truly are. Usually they kind of present themselves in a certain way, but as you get to know them, they'll actually start to act more how they usually do, and sometimes that can make you realize that, oh, I don't actually want to be around this person. And that is okay. It happens. Sometimes college is full of drama, and it's unfortunate, but it does happen. So it's just kind of a good thing to be aware of. And the most important thing with friends is that you will find your friends. I promise you will find your people. I have rarely seen people who kind of go into college and don't find like their friend group. I found some really amazing, great people in college who are some of my bestest friends, and I'm so glad that I found them. And I found them through means that I never even thought so. They were people who went to high school with one of my roommates, and my roommate introduced them to me, and we ended up becoming really, really great friends. And I'm so lucky to have them in my life, and they came through a very unconventional way. And so just know that you might find your friends in maybe the oddest of places, but that you will find your people. I promise it will happen. You will get there. And then regarding parties and like going out, you definitely just want to do what you're comfortable with. I definitely suggest maybe trying to go out a little bit, especially like if you just want to see what it's like. I definitely went into college with the whole attitude of like, I'm not gonna go out, I'm not really the party type of person. And then I got there and I went out with some of my friends, and I actually realized that I had a really fun time and that I do kind of like to party. And I of course have a very good balance with like partying, but also wanting to sometimes be alone in my room or sometimes wanting to just lock in academically. I think having a balance is really good, but it is okay to go out and have fun. And I definitely think that you should have a balance between it. And of course, there are some people that partying is not your thing. You don't really like to go out and do that stuff, and that's totally fine. Do not feel pressured to do it. And there's also some people who that will be their whole reason they're at college is to party. And that is, their own choice, and I will never judge someone for that. But keep your priorities straight. And if you want to solely focus on something, then do that, but also make sure that you have a good balance going on. And then of course, I don't really have a lot of knowledge on this, but like rushing and like fraternities and sororities, I personally did not rush. I'm not really a sorority type of person. I'm just, as I said, not super social, and it does seem like a pretty big time commitment and something that I just personally just didn't want to do. There's not a whole lot of reason other than I just didn't want to, but I would definitely look into it before if you're interested in it. There's a lot of things that you probably want to research, like hazing and like what the fraternities and sororities stand for, what kind of stuff gets going on there. I would definitely even recommend looking up like YouTube videos, because people who have been in sororities, fraternities, and have had bad experiences usually will make videos and kind of explain what happened and like things to be aware of. So I would do your research at least if you are thinking of rushing, because I've heard from a lot of people that it's really fun and it can be fun. I personally don't think I would enjoy it that much, but it's to each their own. Now let's get into roommates. I would highly recommend trying to find your roommate before you move in and not doing the random roommate, because although I've heard that sometimes it can work out getting a random roommate and you guys somehow become like amazing friends, there are also a lot of horror stories that I've heard about people who got paired up with someone random and it just did not work out. There was fights, they just did not get along. So I would try to find someone online beforehand. I was really lucky to find my 2 roommates online. I found one of them and then we kind of like both found the other one and we got along well. I am definitely closer to one of them than I am the other, but we were all very cordial. We all got along. We all lived in the space very well. And so I would highly recommend trying to find people that are similar to you and have similar schedules, just so that one of you is not up like super late at night while the other one has a really early class in the morning. And with your roommates, you guys do not have to be best friends. It's always like a plus if you guys are, but you do not have to be best friends for you and your roommates to just get along and to live in the same space well together. As I said, was closer to one of my roommates than the other, and while the other one and I didn't talk a whole lot, we still lived and we still got along, and it still worked. Like, I still saw my room as a safe place that I could kind of go to just kind of relax and chill. And so you really just want to be at least cordial with each other and to at least get along and kind of balance off each other. If you feel like you and your roommate don't perfectly click, that's okay, as long as you guys can live together and kind of just enjoy your time in your room. I think that's the most important part. Okay, and just to wrap up kind of with a general activities kind of tips, I would say find a form of exercise that you really like in college, whether that be joining a club or intramural sport or going to the gym or something along those lines. Of course, if you're a varsity athlete, then you already kind of have that figured out. But if you're not, I would definitely find some way to do it. There is usually a lot of walking that happens on campus. My campus, I usually had like on average like a 15-minute walk to get anywhere. So you do kind of get that general kind of exercise, but I would also find another means so that you can just kind of have that good balance. And exercising is good for you. It gives you endorphins, all that kind of stuff. It's very good, and it can kind of take away stress, which a lot of people sometimes will have a lot of stress going into college. I myself ended up going to the gym with one of my really good friends, and it was so much fun because we could kind of talk and all that kind of stuff while also working out and just kind of feeling good in our bodies. Let's talk about the freshman 15, because this is a hot topic when it comes to college and being a freshman. Is, will I gain 15 pounds? And the thing is, I don't know. It's different for everyone. And honestly, if you do gain 15 pounds, that's okay. Bodies change, especially like we're all still kind of teenagers becoming adults. Our bodies are still changing. We're still kind of hitting puberty, so it's okay. And also, it does happen for some people because you do have a little bit more freedom with what you eat, because you yourself are deciding what you eat, where you eat, how much you eat, instead of like having home cooked meals from your parents, or of course everyone's home life is a little bit different. For me, I do not think that I gained the freshman 15, but as I said, it really is different for everyone. People also tend to kind of lose the forms of activity that they did before. Like, I know for me personally, I played club soccer for all of junior high and high school, and then I stopped playing once I got to college. And definitely not having that specific form of exercise, I did find myself like not being as motivated to go out and exercise. So I kind of like got my gym buddy, one of my best friends, and we would go to the gym, and that motivated me a lot more. But a lot of people do lose that form of exercise, so sometimes that can kind of be how they gain the freshman 15. But I would say that I personally did not really, like, when I talked to my friends about it, I don't think anyone really said that they did. So I definitely think that it is kind of blown out of proportion a bit. But I would just listen to your body, try to be healthy and take care of yourself. And I think that no matter what, like, love your body, it's okay, your body will change. And just my last pieces of advice is that everything will work out, I promise. Usually you end up at the university or the place in life where you are kind of meant to be. You will make your place, you will make your mark, you will do things that make you happy, and you will find the people that make you happy. And I think you kind of just have to look for it, and you have to search for it. And as I said earlier, listen to your mind and body. If you really know that you probably shouldn't go out to party, then maybe don't. Just make sure that you're not being peer pressured. I never really experienced much with peer pressure. I was surrounded by a lot of people who were just kind of chill and were like, hey, do you want to do this? If you don't, that's totally chill. And so I never felt pressured to do anything. But I know it's a little bit different, especially like with hazing and sororities, fraternities, it can be a little bit different, or depending on the people that you hang out around. And lastly, just be true to yourself. College is a place where you kind of get a lot more freedom than maybe you did in high school. I know for me, it was a lot more in clothing because I went to a high school and junior high where I had to wear a uniform. So finally getting to like pick my outfit out every day was really fun for me. And you will find your people. You do not have to pretend to be someone. Just be yourself, and everything will work out, I promise. And just apply yourself, especially if you are looking to go into either like med school or law school, which I am looking to go into law school after my undergrad degree. I would just make sure that you are aware of what is coming next. And that doesn't mean that you have to plan out your entire life or do your like 5-year plan. I think that sometimes planning that out too far ahead, and when there's a slight problem, it kind of gets all messed up. I think kind of go with the flow, but also be aware of what's coming. So be aware whether or not you need to take the MCAT or the LSAT, just so that when they do eventually come up, you know that that is something that you have to study for, especially since studying for it usually takes about 6 months, or some people even do a year for these kind of tests, and they are required for law school or med school acceptance. And I would also make sure like your GPA is kind of high, and just to generally be aware that if you are taking next steps in your education afterwards, that you kind of have to set yourself up for success. But also give yourself grace and realize that you don't always have to push yourself super, super hard. And just another piece of advice that I want to sneak in there is that don't compare yourself to others. I know it's super easy to look on like LinkedIn or something and see that one of your friends is like super, super successful at this thing, and they have like tons of internships and they have a new job and all that kind of stuff. It can be very easy to be like, oh, I'm not doing well enough, I need to do more. Everyone has a different path. Everyone moves at a different pace. We are not running a short sprint, we're running a marathon, and no one is ahead of you. Everyone is at their different place, and that's completely okay. Of course, you want to kind of push yourself sometimes and try to achieve things that maybe you thought were impossible, but are actually very possible for you. But do not push yourself into burning out and into feeling like you are inadequate because you are not achieving the exact same things that someone else is. You will find your time and your place, and you will apply yourself in the way that you need to. And just have dreams, have hopes, have things that you want to achieve, and then work towards them. So I think it's time to wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching my video, and if you have any questions or anything else that you want me to cover, definitely comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, anything else as well. It really helps me out, and I really appreciate it, and I appreciate all the support on my videos. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!